All right, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. It is almost the middle of the week, so no happy Sabbath at this point, though I pray that the Sabbath coming up is a great one for each and everybody. Tonight's topic is called Land of Depravity, the First Adam. Land of Depravity, the First Adam. I've been thinking about this class for quite some time. Just I guess it takes whatever the Most High will may be to bring it out in due time. I guess this is perfect timing when the Most High wants helps you to have a level of wisdom and understanding and introspect in certain things that you're looking at. But all praises to Him that I'll be able to get to do this once again. So thank the brothers and sisters, and I pray that whoever sees this as always is the goal is that it helps brothers and sisters. But Land of Depravity, the First Adam is the topic. I don't know if people have been paying attention. You should. I guess that's not necessarily just a easy phrase to understand as far as how certain things are shown in front of our faces day in and day out, but a lot of people do not see it. So it's sad, but it's a sign of the times. The same thing that Christ talks about all the time is you might not know the day or the hour, but you can look out, and if you have a level of understanding, you should be able to discern somewhat of the times and recognize where we are in the timeline of beginning to end. It should be something that's evident, but again, if you don't not tapping into the Most High, it can be a very elusive thing and something that can hit you out of nowhere. But all praises to the Most High that brothers and sisters that are diligent in the truth can start to see these things more clear each and every day. So let's open up with Proverbs 2. Proverbs 2. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 10. Yeah, verse 10. It says, when wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. Now, this is a continual progression that the scriptures is going down to give you a better picture of what this is talking about. But stop right here for a second. Discretion shall preserve thee, and understanding shall keep thee. Now, this is a very rare thing nowadays in Israel. I don't know if anybody paying attention. A lot of people might not see it because they might be the subject of the matter I'm talking about. Discretion is a very difficult thing to find in Israel. With the advent of social media, Facebook, Instagram, and all these different things, you're at the fingertips of whatever you might think. You can hit, type, enter a certain amount of characters, enter, and put it up there for everybody to see. A lot of times, brothers and sisters are not paying attention to a level of discretion that they should have in each and everything that they do, especially being in the truth. You're on the forefront of things. Like you're a representation and a spokesperson for the Most High's word. So it's wise for you to be careful on what you're doing, because that people are going to attribute to the actions that you do and are going to associate it with the Most High. Now, we know people of the world want any opportunity they can to discredit the word. So we have to be careful in the things that we do, and you don't find this that often. This is the reason why from time to time I'll ask, like, I know why it happens, but it's funny when you see, sisters deal with the attention aspect of it. Like, it's like they love it more than heroin. It's like they drive, their drive for it is always evident, and you see it in the truth coming out of the world. And you'll see sisters that put up the pouty lips, and there's certain things that you see and you wonder, like, ask yourself, why does a person do that? Same thing with brothers from the world into the truth. They'll adopt certain doctrines that help them to try to reshape their lust and disguise it like the Lord told us to do it, and then try to seem like it's lawful. because they can't put away old spirits that they had coming out of the world into the truth. But you have to be very careful in what you're doing and have a level of discretion. And Sirach talks about that. Don't do anything without discretion. But it's very important. It's like walking circumspect. The scriptures talk about all over throughout the Bible. Discretion, wisdom entereth into thy heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul. Discretion shall preserve thee, and understanding shall keep thee. Discretion is going to keep you safe until you reach a point where you elevate in knowledge and have a level of understanding, and you can see the picture as clear as it should be seen. Sometimes that takes time, and a lot of different things that you read. The scriptures is not something that you just, learn in a 24-hour period. It takes time. It takes years. I'm still working on myself. Many brothers and sisters are still working on themselves. You're lying to yourself. You say that you don't still have levels that you haven't reached to grow. But before you understand a totality of what you're expected of what's expected of you from the Most High, a level of discretion is going to keep you safe until you get to a higher level of understanding. And then you can understand how to move and everything makes sense when it's put together. Level of apprehension, like apprehensive behavior. It's smart to do. Now, some people might look at it like, the way you describe it and the way people talk about it, I can't live my life like that. But meaning, I can't live my life like that, meaning I'm not going to be scared in everything that I do. I'm not going to have a level of restraint in this decision and this decision. There's too much stuff working in and out of a day for me to think and move like that. But that level of thought process or that restraint, it's not difficult, and it becomes preferable once you understand how delicate the life that you have is. Because any misstep, willful misstep, any misstep that you take, even if you think it's a well thought out decision and something that you do, that decision that might sound smart to you at the time might be the last decision that you ever make. And you need that level of fear within you, because you start to understand things differently when you realize this is a life or death situation. Every single thing that you do is life or death. This is not something that's just a fly-by-night decision. I'm just going to do whatever I want. The world works like that. A brother and sister, Israel, is not supposed to operate like that. Okay? Your well thought out decisions usually lead to bad situations and scenarios. So discretion will help you when you don't understand everything at that point in time. Circumspect, walk that way, be careful, and be hesitant in every decision that you make. All right. And it's the progression is showing you why the Lord is telling you to do this. Start at 10 again. When wisdom entereth into thy heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh froward things, who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of wicked. Now, froward meaning contrary, a person that's Charlie Murphy said on Dave Chappelle, an habitual line stepper. And in this case, it would be a person that consistently crosses the line of righteousness into what the Lord told you to stay away from, meaning wickedness. So discretion and knowledge, understanding will keep you from the ways of the evil man, and a person that's froward in all their thoughts, meaning contrary to what the Most High wants them to do. And this is wherein lies the problem in everything that you see in life. Because first off, I don't know if people really understand what is the ways of evil men. Because in the world, people look at it like you have this situation with atheists. People will talk about, I don't believe in God and this and that, but the main issue with atheists and people of that ilk is that at what point in time do you have some type of moral code that tells you don't go beyond this point? What is right and what is wrong? What's too far? What's not far enough? What's mercy? What's judgment? How do you handle those situations? Because a person that doesn't believe in God, they don't have a belief system. They can claim something of their own, but it'll be subjective. It's whatever their mind thinks. So the scripture's telling you discretion and knowledge and wisdom is something that's going to keep you from the ways of evil men. People that speak contrary to it. You're not built. You yourself as a fleshly creature are not built to deliver yourself from situations, meaning your thoughts are not always working in the right capacity to pull you out of a situation that you find yourself in, that you got yourself in. You can't save yourself from yourself. Your thoughts are working for your flesh. So it's never a good situation where somebody will think in their mind, well, I'll do this and I'll somehow, some way I'll find myself out of it. Well, if that's the case and you were smart enough to get out of it, why'd you get yourself in it in the first place? This stuff like this is supposed to keep you from the evil path, to walk contrary to what the Most High has you to do. It's not good for you to live like that, to move and think like that, because it's going to be a situation where you're repeating past mistakes over and over and over again. And then nobody can step up to tell you, well, you shouldn't be doing this, because your own mind, you always think that you know everything. You know how to get yourself out of situations. Therefore, you don't need nobody else's advice. You sure as hell don't need no God in your life. That's how people think. But these things are precautionary situations to keep you from a troubled state, in a situation you find yourself that you might not be able to backtrack from. That's what that's for. It says, who leaves the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness. Verse 14, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked. Because a person, at what point in time, they're going to start enjoying that. The person's not going to look at it and be like, this is evil. They're going to be like, this is my life. This is how I live. So it's good in their eyesight. But a person like that, they can't really be, with intervention from the Most High, of course, it can be helped. But a particular person, that's one of the worst type of spirits that you want to handle, is a person that feels like they don't need no direction, no structure, no nothing. That's the worst case scenario for fleshly beings walk around in a place that ideologizes a wicked path, everything that's contrary to what the Heavenly Father said in order. They put it up and they prop it up like it's the best way and the best way to have an existence on this earth. That's not good for you. Let's go to Psalms 36. Psalms 36 in verse 1. It says, the transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. And this is the type of creature that you will wind up coming across. There's just like when you understand truth and what the Most High is showing Israel what to do, you're going to have a level of progression where you grow and your light starts to get brighter and brighter. That wisdom starts to take place and you understand that discretion will help along the way until the Most High sends you something to help you to, understand things better than you did, previously, the day before, the month before, 3 years before. That's why I said all of us are still learning. A person, the transgression of the wicked, they're going to say in their heart that there is no fear of God. Now, the scriptures tell you that the beginning of wisdom is fear. Okay, you look across the landscape of this place. There is no fear in the land. There's no fear in the people of God. There's no wisdom going out, because the Lord says if you have fear of him, that is the beginning of wisdom. This is identical to what happened to Adam in the garden. This was his problem. Adam wanted to deviate and go after a wisdom that was not God's, which he did, but ironically turned out not to be wisdom at all. Eve led him down that path, but Adam should have corrected it, but Adam followed. You'll remember you read in Genesis 3 about Eve talking about it's a tree that desired, like it was wise. And it was like looking for a level of wisdom outside of what the Lord says, which again is not wisdom at all. Hold that, go to Sirach 19. This is what this was. Sirach 19. Sirach 19 and verse 22. Yeah, it says the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence. So first off, the second part of the verse, it's never a wise situation for anybody to start sitting in counsel with people that are rebellious against the Most High's word. They can't offer anything for you. Their mindset and what they tell you is going to be out of their own desire and whatever they find is pleasure and worthy of living in this place. That's never a good thing. So people outside of the scriptures or the truth, I don't understand how you would seek a older woman or older man, younger, whatever it may be. What level of wisdom can they offer you? Because just because you know a lot of different things, being fluent in evil is not wisdom. Having a level of knowledge of evil is not wisdom. And this is what the Lord was trying to show Adam from the very beginning. But a person that's, their mind is set like that, there's nothing that is refraining them from doing certain things. There's nothing that's telling them, don't reach for that. Don't grab this. Don't get involved in this. That's a person that moves with no fear of God in their eyes. You see it in the truth. You're not supposed to have this situation happen amongst brothers and sisters in the scripts. But if you are wise enough and you understand certain things, especially just on a base level, just as it is written, if you see certain scriptures written a particular way with laws and stuff like that, you understand when a brother or sister in truth is starting to show themselves to go off, or whatever desire that they have within themselves is starting to come to the forefront, and they will completely ignore what the Lord is telling them to do because it's in, but we can see it. But a person will twist and shift in the wind to try to makeshift righteousness out of what they see and what they want. And if you understand, you have a little bit of discernment, you can start to see this within the person because they easily become hypocritical immediately. I see this all the time. That level of fear starting to leave. That's the only thing that's putting you in a position to not do this, to have a hesitancy before you move and make, it could be life altering decisions. Like I said earlier, that can't get you out of a position you too deep into it. And you see this with brothers and sisters all the time. That fear starts to leave. Back to Psalms 36. Verse 2 again. It says, for he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity is found to be hateful. So you have a flattery. Like this is very high level pride. Anytime anybody starts to go away from the Lord, it's becoming prideful. Now, you know, when you meet somebody, dudes do this with women. If you try to flatter them, you're reinforcing their confidence in a person, whether it be their personality or their appearance, whatever it is. You're trying to stroke their ego. And you might believe it. I mean, but the person usually, a person that receives that, they typically fall for it. Not everybody. But you have to understand, like, when we're within the dynamics of a society, okay, certain things have to be understood and respected. There is a real thing out there called influences, and this is why it's a horribly misleading proposition when people say things like, what's the phrase? Whatever somebody does in their own time it shouldn't matter because it's not affecting you. But if you understand, every decision that everybody makes has repercussions to those around them, be it older generations, especially the young ones. That's the one most people are always looking at, because children, young ones are like sponges. They soak up information. But nowadays, you can't tell the difference between who's acting like a child, the older generation or the younger generation. So they're both vulnerable, but especially the young ones. So you have to understand that you can't be neutral to evil. You can't sit in the middle and be like, well, it's not affecting me. The person, that grown person that is a man that decides to be homosexual, he can become governor. I just seen this thing the other day, where the headline on ESPN was the GM. I think it was a GM for the Suns or something. He comes out, he's sitting in the chair, as a picture of him. The first openly gay, I think it was a GM. Like, who cares? What's that got to do with basketball? This is the point, because those influences will work. That same woman that wanted to be call herself pansexual or transgender, she's now teaching classes that your children go to. And then people will act like, well, those influences not going to matter because it's not bothering me. No, influences are real. Peer pressure is real, especially among younger generation. So you can't sit in the middle, and you have to draw the line between what's right and what's wrong. You have to, or you're going to have a problem. And a person's iniquity, they're going to continue to flatter themselves and think highly of what they're doing until their iniquity found to be hateful. It's going to progress. Like scriptures talk about, a righteous man falls 7 times, but he's going to get back up. But the man that falls into mischief, that's what's going to happen to him. It's not you start to do things contrary to what the Most High wants you to do. It happens so often. If you don't have anything to pull you out of it, that thing that used to be called, oh, I slipped, man, I fell, I need to get back up, I had a fall in the truth. That's going to start to become normal behavior now. There is no, you don't even look at it as a fall anymore. It's just, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And then eventually the excuses come. Well, we all got to die one day. Can't nobody be perfect. I'm not Christ. I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I'm not Peter, the Most High. All these excuses start to be made because you start to see what's in them starts to come to the forefront. And you have to have that fear, because that's the only thing that's going to make you stop doing what you're doing and correct yourself. But a person that doesn't have that, where does that leave them? Off into the distance with everybody else. Verse 3, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. He deviseth mischief upon his bed, and he setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. There it is. You have to hate evil. You can't sit in the middle and be like, I'm not, man, he's gay, but as long as he's over there. I used to think like that in the world. Like, to this day, I still can't. I mean, I get it now because it's spirits, but from a straight male perspective, I can't fathom a man being homosexual. I don't understand. I can't process it. But you can't take that position and be like, well, he's not bothering me. I don't care what he does behind closed doors. Well, now it's not behind closed doors anymore. It's open. It's out in front of the public. And then you have homosexuals and people in this living this deviant lifestyle will come out and be like, why do you have TV shows and regular movies where a man and a woman can kiss on television and have kids and a family? We need to be able to do that same thing. We need that same avenue to be treated fairly. It's not right that you can do this and do that. So unless you take a stand and draw the line of like, this is not acceptable. You can't play both sides and be like, I'm not worrying about it and I'm not doing this. No, the Lord's not accepting that. That's why he told you to boom. You can't be lukewarm. You better either be definitive of one side, which should be the right side, or the other one and suffer the consequences. But he setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. Let's go to Isaiah 65. Look at this way. Isaiah 65 and verse 1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. Now, this is not talking about Hamites being chosen or Edomites being chosen or Moab or whatever. It's still talking about Israel, but it's showing you something in the future. Like you find this exact thing in Romans. I think it's in Romans 10. The Gentiles amongst Israelites being delivered. This is what's happening, but it's a different subject. Verse 2. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good, after their own thoughts. And this is where everything starts to shift. That's why I said you pay attention to the dynamics of what happened within the garden. Israel's not supposed to be like this. Like this is the nation of Israel was created to be literally the opposite of what you see creation as it stands right now. Israel is supposed to be the one shining light amongst everything to see that's how we're supposed to do this. This is how we're supposed to move in this situation. This seems to be a very difficult situation to handle. How would the Israelites do it? What's their God say? What's the law say? This is the way Israel's supposed to be. But what's happened is everybody has become their own thoughts. That's what's happened. And now imagine that position for a second. Yeah, everybody just acts out what they think. There's a man's mind is like ground zero for sin. There's a reason why when Christ came, Christ emphatically talked over and over again. He's trying to get you to highlight the spiritual side and not look at everything as so carnal. But amongst the infinite wisdom that Christ spoke when he was in the flesh, he talked and harped a lot about the responsibility that you bear for the thoughts that you have. A man or woman is his thoughts. You have to be careful. Now, if you're not in the truth, you don't understand why your mind, well, I guess your mind wouldn't be working opposite of your flesh, because in the world, you just do what you want to do and you don't see a problem. When you're in the truth, you start to understand at times your mind can be your enemy, can be your biggest enemy, because it's telling you to do things or wanting you to do things that the Lord is telling you to do opposite. But then you understand that's that war going on between the flesh and the spirit. So there's no end in sight of what a man's mind can drum up and the level of evil that happens. Now imagine people just completely acting out their own thoughts. They have it, they go do it. Whatever they conceive in their mind, they go and do it. But the world has isolated that. They've harnessed it, commercialized it, and then they've kind of redistributed it back to the public. It's like this as a form of a normal behavior. Like just this do what thou wilt and the hell with the consequences. That's the way it works. Especially as you're looking in America, especially. So this is a reoccurring theme all the time, and people have gotten so accustomed to this, there's no pushback for it. This behavior is encouraged. It's encouraged to, remember, even in this place, you're raised like people always tell you to be independent, have your own thoughts, find yourself. Whatever you want to do is good for you. It's a horrible way to live because you don't know where the pitfalls are. You don't know that you can be your own worst enemy because nobody's telling you this. But again, how could they? They don't believe in no type of structure. Nobody can teach you what a moral code is. How can they tell you that? How can they show you what's right and what's wrong? They can't. Now, watch this. Let's go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 10. Exodus chapter 10. in verse 21. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt." Keep that in mind. Even darkness which may be felt. Verse 22. "And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days." Now, I'll read this next verse before I say this. Verse 23. "They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings." And this is important to remember when you're reading scripture, the carnal side should hit you immediately, because it's kind of on face. It's like what you're reading. That's the carnal side. Like, you read it, flip the page, go to the next story. But remember, when you're going through scripture, to try to figure out what the spiritual side is saying. Try to pay attention to that, because that's usually where the gems are. Because what you're reading for face value is events that happened in the past. But the Lord told you these are examples for us in the New Testament, if you will, to understand and draw on perspective of what our foreparents did and what they didn't do. The repercussions and the benefits of taking certain avenues to follow what the Most High was saying, or to inevitably have your hands out to the Lord asking for judgment. So it's important to understand the spiritual side of what you're reading, because Christ was trying to get us to understand that from the very beginning. It's just that we was always looking, we couldn't see what was already in front of our faces, though the Lord was trying to bring that to our attention from the very beginning. So, and this is why it's so important to understand the Old Testament. Like, people talk about the laws done away with, and they'll just try to wipe half the book away, when all the errors and all the learning curves are within how our foreparents walked from the beginning. So you have to take that and understand it, study this stuff, and look and be like, man, what is this happening? How does this in the past project to what's happening in the future? And it's phenomenal once you start to understand certain things in the scriptures like that, because these questions start to be answered in a very vivid way. And brothers, this is the problem that you have with brothers that only believe in the Old Testament, which it's a terrible way to think, because if you stuck in the carnal, this is the game is over. It's useless, because if the Old Testament was the way, like, if what you're reading of our foreparents, just this was it, from Genesis to Malachi was just the way, then what would be the point of Christ even coming? What would be the point of Moses talking about there's another one to come of your brethren later on? Hear ye him. What would be the point? You would see in Malachi to be like, oh, it's over. Israel repented. They understood everything by the carnal things that were shown to them from the very beginning. Those spiritually, but the discern was there to see it carnally. You would be lost. So understand how to look at this spiritually. And we're going to take a glance into this for a second to kind of show you how the past is playing out right in front of our face. So verse 21, again, the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thy hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Remember, this is the last plague before the death angel came. Remember that. All right. Let's figure out what this is talking about. The darkness which may be felt. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 17. There is no way that you draw a complete picture just with the old, unless you understand the new and can see the new within the old. That's the only way. But people that only subscribe to the old and not the new, you're lost. Still prophecy is not even been fulfilled in the old. And it's at this point it's so late in the game that brothers are still saying they don't believe in the Old Testament and you believe in the white Jesus. That stuff is hard as crap. But nonetheless, this is where we are. Wisdom of Solomon 17. Yeah, let's start up above. So let's start at verse 3. It says, "For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions," meaning like ghost-like figures and stuff. So this is going into what happened in Egypt. What level of darkness is it? It's not just like you cut the lights out and it's just dark. This was what the Lord did to Egypt was a different level of darkness. And we know darkness is evil. Darkness is not knowing the proper path, because the scriptures talk about light is the way. You understand when you have light, you can see where you're going. You understand it on a spiritual level. So this is just not all the lights are cut out and we can't see. The Lord was doing something else to Egypt at that time of the darkness, and he was showing something to us in the future to understand. They were troubled with strange apparitions. So the Egyptians started seeing things, okay, that weren't particularly there, but they saw them. Lord is a mastermind in how he can. This is why you have to fear the Most High. He put you in a space where you don't know where you're going. It's a scary thing. Verse 4. "For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear, but noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenances." This is what they saw. When the Lord put this plague of darkness over them, they saw these different things, though they weren't there. Verse 5. "No power of fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night." Now, as we're going through this, if you can, hear as I'm reading this physically, but think about the spiritual side of what's happening. Think what this means spiritually, okay? We know that the Lord uses words that we're familiar with and accustomed to try to give you a better picture and express it how he wants you to see it and understand it. So think about this. Bounce back from physical to spiritual. "Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, for being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not." So the way that they're perceiving their reality, it's that what they saw but did not see was scarier than what they thought the reality was. This is a heavy vexation of the mind. Very heavy. So their perception is becoming reality, even though that's not a person's. For instance, a person's perception, like people will say that it's a very intelligent phrasing, but it's just not absolute truth, because a person can perceive something from their perspective and it be right from where they are, but it doesn't necessarily make it absolutely true, because from where my vantage point is, we're seeing two different things. So I'm telling the truth from where I stand. He's telling the truth from where he stands. But when we come close and we see it from the same perspective, we get our answer. So this is the reason why it's true, and it's a great statement, but it's not absolutely true all the time. So a person's reality is not necessarily my perception. Okay? So, a person's perception does not make my reality, I should say. A lot of people believe a lot of different things, and they see certain things and they be like, this is what it is. And we're like, no, it's not. It's not my reality. That might be how you see something, but it's wrong. Nowhere is that more evident than the Most High's word. The Bible, nowhere is that more evident. Verse 7. "As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace." Now here we go again, just like in Proverbs 2. What wisdom are we talking about? Remember, Adam was looking for another wisdom. Eve was looking for another wisdom. They saw something else to make them be wise. But was that wisdom? No. At the time, it looked like it was. But that's only showing you what's deeply troubled within yourself. But that is not the wisdom. That's not wisdom. They just became fluent in evil. Remember, the knowledge of wickedness, that's not wisdom. So we understand as you read the Exodus story, the magicians that Pharaoh employed, they was doing certain things and they believed in what they were doing. But when the Lord showed up, he started taking their wisdom that they claimed that they had, and now it's become a disgrace. It's become a complete fabrication, and it's been exposed for what it truly is. It's not wisdom. Keep all this in mind. Verse 8, for they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at. So everything is flipping on its head now. The magicians were the ones that was driving away different things by the merit of their magic, but it wasn't working anymore. They switched roles. Now that they become the victims. For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that pass by and hissing of serpents. So you have the look of beasts going by, the sound of water, and the hissing of serpents. This is all the things that they're seeing and hearing. They died for fear, denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided. So it's like being scared, so you close your eyes, but you're also scared, so you open them, because you're having fear on every angle and every side of yourself, on multiple levels. It's like you're too scared to look, but you're too scared to keep your eyes closed. It's torture. All because of their wisdom is now they're being exposed for all the stuff that they stood on and what they claim to believe. Now you would think at some point in time, Pharaoh would be like, okay, there's something with this Moses guy. Let's just stop doing what we're doing. But it didn't work. Pharaoh kept moving and moving and moving. We know the Lord hardened his heart. This is still a lesson for the readers. Verse 11, for wickedness, condemned by her own witness, is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience, always forecasting grievous things. So your mind, once you are in that space of being scared of everything, your mind as a guilty person is going to continue to cast grievous thoughts. It's going to get worse and worse. Okay, that's what's happening to them. Now watch this, verse 12. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the secures which reason offereth. I'm going to read that again. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth. Let me explain that in a second. Verse 13. And the expectation from within, being less, counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth torment. And this is what you see. It's like the what's the wording? It's like a sleight of hand. A person's not paying attention that the magic that they're seeing is not really real, but they're caught up in the trick. You're not paying attention. The person that's doing it, you're looking at this guy doing card tricks and you'll be like, okay, I don't know how to do what he's doing. I can't replicate what he's doing, but I know he's a man just like I am. This dude ain't some figure from the sky. So somehow he's doing something sleight of hand. I just can't figure it out. That's what a normal person would think of. But a person that's caught up in the trick and they're mesmerized, they can be taken in it. So their mindset was they were so caught up in their ignorance and their pride of being in a position of doing certain magic and stuff like that. They counted those things that was happening more than who's doing this. They were so caught up in that, and they're not paying attention to the real mastermind is the Most High. It's like we tell people all the time, if you want to fix your situation, Why not go to the source? We know the Lord did it. So why not go to him? You're so concerned about, man, my life is off track right now. I'm like, I get that. And Israel struggles. But the same person that makes your life good is the same one that made it bad. So go back to the source. Go entreat the Most High. That's the one that's controlling everything. Don't deviate because things are being bad. I now have to go, well, I have to go to, or complain more about the situation instead of inquiring of the Most High and sending up prayers to him to fix it, because he controls everything. If you believe that, then both situations are true. He made your life great. He made certain things happen in tribulation come your way. Continue to seek him in all things. Now, verse 12, verse 13, the expectation from within being less, meaning that reason. This is the wisdom that, or this is the darkness that is being felt. Verse 12 says, for fear is nothing else but the betraying of the succors which reason offereth. This is what the Lord did to Egypt. He removed all reasoning from them. So now everything that they're seeing is not there. But how do you settle yourself and get to a stable foundation or a stable ground if there is no reasoning anymore? The reasoning's gone. It's taken away from you. You can't, the Lord's removed all of it. So now anything goes. A person believes their imagination. Whatever they see, that's the way it is. Their fantasy has become their own reality. Even though you have Israelites in Goshen, this ain't happening to them. This is not happening. So they're thinking of it like, oh, this is everywhere. This is happening in everything. These sounds of the waters, as you read down, you'll read about noises of birds, the fall of water. They're hearing all this and they're seeing all this, but it's not there. So they're dying because of it, because they trust their own mind so much that it's become their own nightmare. So at this point, the Most High is taking the reasoning. They can't reason no more. Anything goes. Water sounds like it's going to kill us. The birds sound like they're going to kill us. I'm seeing things that are not there. I'm hearing the noise of serpents. It's not real. But they're so sold on their mischief and they're so far gone into wickedness that the Most High has turned you over to a reprobate mind. How do you deliver yourself now? You can't. Because we understand certain levels. You have a level of understanding. Fear is not necessarily going to be there with things you understand and why this is happening. You're not going to run outside at 2 a.m. and be like, oh, I'm scared of the dark. Well, it's nighttime. That's what reason does to you. You understand it is nighttime. But if you're in this capacity, what the Lord has done, he removes the reasoning from you. What can anybody tell you? They can't pull you out of that situation because you're believing everything that your mind tells you. This is the point. Verse 14, but they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, and which came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell, were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions, there it goes again, and partly fainted, their heart failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked for, came upon them. So they were done at this point. There is no reasoning. There's nobody telling them that this isn't there, this isn't happening. Their minds are fully believed and set on what they wanted to do, and that's their own downfall. Because you see these different things when Moses was telling them, look, let us go, or God's going to do this. Let us go, or the God's going to do this. They didn't want to listen. They trusted their own mind so much, and the Lord let them have that. He just unleashed the shackles now. You really believe your own mind. Anything you hear, anything you say, it goes, and now it's your own downfall. Now, why is that important? Why is it important that the Most High, he's showing you a lesson from the past that he snatched the reasoning away? Let's go to Revelation 16. Revelation 16 in verse Revelation 16 verse 10. Revelation 16 verse 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. Remember, this is the last plague that happened before the death angel was unleashed. Okay? So, the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast. His kingdom became full of darkness. This is the reason why it's important to understand what's happening in the Old Testament. There's nothing new under the sun. The Most High shows you the physical. He showed you the physical to help you to understand the spiritual, especially in our time. Look back at old lessons and be like, oh, I see that this happened. Reread this, and you be like, oh, okay, this is projecting what the Lord was trying to show us in the future. If you don't know, let's jump over real quick. Revelation 17. I'm gonna read this whole thing, but just to give you the context of what he's talking about. Seat of the beast, which kingdom is this? Verse 17 and verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. You read the same thing in Jeremiah 51. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So this seat we're reading about in Revelation 16, that seat and that kingdom that's been now hit with utter darkness is America. This is where we are now. Now, if you understand what the Lord's showing, look at what's happening all across the landscape of America. Remember, everybody on the earth takes their cues after America. But all that stuff starts here. Now, the Most High, just like in Egypt, has removed all reasoning from this place. Everybody has seen the overturning of the Roe v. Wade. I don't know if people understand at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily, the overturning of that ruling in 73 is not a situation where the government is all outlawed abortion. That's not what happened. But it has allowed states now to come up with their own practices or laws concerning that act. So if Virginia decided as a state that abortions are still legal, they're able to do that. If another place like Texas, which it seems like Texas is about to shut the door on all of it, rape, incest, even though we know if you look up these numbers, is 1.5% of these abortions happen based on rape and incest. Everything else is just women being hoes and dudes being whoremongers. That's what's happening. Nonetheless, this is what's happening on that decision being overturned. Now, I don't know. I've been blessed with a phenomenal mom. Not everybody has that. Not everybody was grown up in a decent structure, especially within Israel. So father, mother in the house is a rare thing. But drawing a point here, I've been blessed with an excellent mom. I've learned things, even things that maybe not taught verbally, you've seen through actions. So at least from time I've been around my mom, I can understand what qualities I need to find, if it be the Most High's will, in a wife. I know those certain things. Just like a daughter should be able to look up to her father and understand, this is what I need in a husband. Of course, the dynamic changes when you bring in the scriptures, but certain qualities, like people talking about, scriptures talk about the law written on our hearts, there's certain things that still, you know, that still bleeds over from the world to the truth. Like the constant, being a generally nice person, defending a husband wanting to defend his wife, a wife wanting to provide for a husband. You understand those certain dynamics. So I've been blessed with that from the mother's side, not taking anything away from my father. I'm just drawing a point. I've been blessed with that from a mom. Now, people say this, and most people are understanding this over time. There's a very rare situation where you can ever find something that is you can equate to the love a mother has for her children. It's very rare that you find a replica of that somewhere else within the earth. That's a different type of love. I know people have seen mothers with their children in the truth, in the world, whatever it may be. I don't know if people understand that we're at a point now where it's like, even how rare that is to find, we're in a time where now you have to convince women to not kill their children. I don't know if people understand how profound that is. Like, you have to go coax a mother and give her restore a level of affection. Like the scriptures tell you in Timothy that people are not, that affection is gone. So when you have to go tell a mother that, this is a dire state. You should tell that, understand that certain things are shifting for the wrong, and what's happening amongst, especially in this place. Because the Most High, remember, he's smitten. Same thing he did with Egypt. He's put the darkness over America. The reasoning is now being removed. All of it, on many different levels, to where you have to convince a mom not to kill her children. Now, I looked this up the other day. Bear with me. I looked these numbers up. Hear this, all right? So since Roe v. Wade happened in 1973, all these states combined, all right? Montana, North Dakota, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, all of Texas, Maryland, Virginia, and South Carolina. All those states combined population, all of those states combined, roughly 63 million, is the same amount of children that have been killed since 73 in abortion. Now, if you were to take all those states and wipe those off the map completely, Texas is a big state. If you were to wipe all those states off the map, that would equal how many children have been aborted in the last roughly 50 years. That's a lot. That's a huge amount. Now, the crazy thing is, who leads the pack in all these women doing abortions? Israelite women. They are the front of the pack, ahead of everybody else. Coincidence? No, not a coincidence. This is the time that we are in, and women are now wanting the right to kill the child. It's not like they're being like, well, let us rethink these things. No, they look at it as just like their God-given right to execute the child. Even though we know that the decision that you made, you're doing grown-up actions, but you want the repercussions to be softballs. That doesn't make any sense. That's why I mention all the time when people will talk about, well, we're just having casual sex. Sex is one of the most powerful actions in the history of the world. And you're talking about as casual, like it's a handshake. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's no such thing as casual sex. These things have repercussions and life-altering decisions. You should not move as if this was just like a French double kiss on the cheek. That's not what this is. These are life-altering situations. Lives come into play like this. So we're at a time now where you have to tell them, listen, maybe maybe look out for the child. Maybe not kill him. I know they don't put you on the books as you being first degree murder, but that's what this is. It doesn't, opinions be damned. This stuff doesn't matter. You've now become a murderer. Okay, that's what that is. Now, this is the Lord showing you that this darkness has being pushed over this place. Also in this place, we're at a point where people have lost the ability to understand the difference between what a boy and a girl is. I don't think can't be understated. This is the reasoning that's being removed. All things that seem basic in understanding on throughout history, people don't understand how to differentiate between a boy and a girl. You have colleges that refuse to reduce tuition costs, but they have taken it upon themselves to foot the entire bill if any one of those college students wants to opt in for gender reassignment surgery. If people don't understand that Christ is at the door, he's at the door. That's why I'm saying to draw the correlation between ancient Egypt and now. Because remember, this is spiritual Egypt. America has taken every custom in the history of every kingdom and mashed them things together and come up with this extension of Rome. This is what we are and we're living in. You have people that are cutting off perfectly healthy limbs, arms, legs, because they want to be trans-able. This stuff is unbelievable. Like, that's a real thing. Trans-able. Look that up. People want to be trans-able. You have women. I seen some video of some woman that wants to become, she had 80 different things before she even got to her name was. She got all these genders and stuff. And she's talking about how she's part wolf. These are the decisions. You had somebody in Atlanta the other day that walked into a Subway and shot 2 Subway employees, killed one. And the reasoning was they had too much mayonnaise on his sandwich. That this might sound like a joking matter in a sense, because it's just like, what? But these are the type of spirits that's on the earth right now. This is what we're witnessing in a land of chaos. It's moral wickedness from corner to corner. And it's not so much that you have evil in this place, is that you have support groups that help support the evil decisions that people are making. That's the weirdest thing to me. People make bad decisions all the time, but then you have a group out there that's always going to be looking out for you and bigging up your bad decisions. That's that flattering your own eyes. People looking at it, no fear of God. I don't care, because God gave you the spirit in this body at the end of the day. But no respect for that, because it's my decision. I'm pro-choice. My body, my choice. Even though we know if I kill you, you die. If I kill a child, you're still alive. So it's not really your body, but interesting. But this is something that it seems like is a 1 + 1 equation, easy to figure out. But if the Lord removes all reasoning, if he leaves you to your own devices, then anything goes now. Nothing that I can tell you, hey, this is just basic understanding. If you say that God's perfect, how is there such thing as transgender? How's that How is that possible? But nobody wants to hear that, because their own mind is going so loud and their wisdom is becoming shameful. And this is the same thing that the Lord did with Egypt. The exact same thing. So you remember, like, you read Genesis 11, the first Babylon. You remember what the Lord said before he came down and confused the languages. They said that they was all of one mind and one goal. And they said, let us go up and let's make ourselves a name. Let's make ourselves a name. This is now, like, this is today, as we're seeing the exact replica from the very beginning. All these things jumbled together. Babylon, Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah. You're seeing all these things merged together, and you're seeing the culmination of the level of evil. And the same thing in Genesis 6, where everybody's thought continually has now become evil. And the Lord's like, I got to wipe this thing out. You have more millionaires than in this time than any time in history. More blasphemy, more pride, more me. This is the age of influencers, OnlyFans, decreasing marriages, women versus men. All these different things are about to implode on itself. This country is almost over. And I don't know, brothers and sisters, I see a lot of brothers and sisters that be in the truth, don't be necessarily acting like, this is it. Say they might see the times, but they're not necessarily treating the situation as critical as they need to. People are regressing, and that's why we was reading in Proverbs 2, to keep thee from the way of an evil man, to abstain from a person that's leaving off the good to do the evil continually. Remember, in Adam's time, when Adam was in the garden, I don't know if you pay attention, the decision that Adam made, all creation follows suit. That's something you got to understand. You got to hold key in what you're reading in the scriptures. Ever since Adam did what he did, all of creation followed. Right after him, you have murder, pride, all these different things took place. That first Adam of you being an earthly person, Adam's mindset in following Eve was to get away from God's wisdom, to seek something else. And there is no other wisdom outside of God. The only other thing that you're going to find is discovering your own self. It's just pride. That's it. Because the Most High has the ultimate knowledge on how his creation should move, should think, should act. There is nothing outside of the Most High. That's why the scriptures do. Let's read this real quick. Ecclesiastes 7. I think it's 7. Verse 7 and verse 14. I'll read verse 13. It says, consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? Nobody. In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. God also hath set the one over against the other to the end, that man should find nothing after him. This is the culmination of all of creation. Understanding that the Creator knows what's best for everything. You don't need to seek outside of him. You don't need to go ask this person. They don't know more than the Lord. They don't. It's just like talking to yourself. You asking somebody else for that is like talking to you, because you're all pieces of creation. Go to the Creator for that. Don't try to seek something that's outside of the Most High, because you're not going to find anything. You're only going to find more wickedness. Let's go to Proverbs 4. Proverbs 4 in verse 14. It says, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, and turn from it, and pass away. Because we know, like I mentioned earlier, your flesh and your thoughts are cohesive. You don't have the Spirit of the Lord and don't understand the Spirit of the Lord, your thoughts are going to lead you to a bad place. You might think you're walking in the right path, but like people will say all the time, what's that phrase? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. You can't say many more things in life that's more accurate than that. Verse 17, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Going somewhat back into Exodus 10 about Israel had light. Remember, Romans 9 talks about all Israel is not Israel. So even though at the time Israel was in Goshen and they was protected and they had light and they wasn't hit with hail and different things, when they left Egypt, all that generation got wiped out because that belief wasn't there. Even though they seeing certain things, that belief wasn't there. That spiritual side of what the Lord was always asking and looking for within Israel wasn't there. So that's something to keep in mind. That level of light you're supposed to hold on to and understand for what it is. Don't manipulate it like you're moving carnally, but you're acting like you have a level of light with you. It's not how that goes. Verse 20 verse 19. Verse 18 was, but the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Verse 19, the way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. So now if you have this is what's funny too, because at this point in time, you have a sect of the population that is, they don't subscribe to transgenderism and all these other crazy ideologies. But you can't go to them and ask them. They can't provide you an answer of why what's happening is happening. You might have like basic understanding of like, of course there's no such thing as different genders. These people have a mental disorder. They might be able to tell you that. But if you ask them why all this is happening, they can't provide you an answer because they're still in darkness. They don't even know what they're stumbling at. They have no idea. You can't correct it because that would infer that you know what's wrong. So most of the people you're talking to, they don't see something wrong with them. They look at the transgender community or homosexuals or whatever it may be and be like, they're the problem. But they're not seeing the man in the mirror. You're part of the issue too. Just because you're not in that perversion don't mean that you're not a pile of sin just like everybody else. They don't even know what they're stumbling at. How is it that a so-called black woman can show up to a Black Lives Matter rally when she's got 3 abortions on her resume? How does that work? You killing children of your own nation, but you go out at the same time to celebrate and tell people that Black Lives Matter when you're the ones aborting them? That don't make any sense. It's the exact same thing about our people celebrating. They come out in droves to celebrate Juneteenth. You celebrate your freedom. And then 3 weeks later, you celebrate the 4th of July and slavery. This is the madness this is the reason why the Most High is talking about all the reasoning has been removed. And people can't see in front of their own face. James 3, excuse me. James 13. James chapter 3. Almost done. James chapter 3 and verse 13. It says, who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness and wisdom. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. So who amongst you has a level of wisdom? We're not talking about multiple avenues of wisdom. It's just that the knowledge of God is wisdom. If you don't have the knowledge of God, you're not a wise person. There is no other way to understand or call somebody intelligent, if you will. It's not to say that people are dumb, be disrespectful, but the level of wisdom that you need to educate yourself on what this life is currently that you're living and to how to navigate through it without falling in the pitfalls and the lust of life. You have to have this level of wisdom. He has to show himself that he has that out of like meekness and a conversation, pure conversation, seasoned with salt. He has to conduct himself a particular way because that means that you can't understand this and still act like somebody in the world. I'm not even talking about being in lust or anything. I'm talking about understanding how to treat your brother, not having that strife, not having that envy. So there's a level of understanding that takes, and everybody doesn't have that. That's why you have to be careful in making sure that you are following correctly. Verse 17, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. That's a big thing too. A lot of hypocrites out here. They love to be on Facebook and Instagram and put these posts up and tell you what you're doing wrong, and they're not looking at the person in the mirror. So concerned with all 12 tribes is Negro, all this, all that. Brothers are so caught up in lust and all these different things, and they're not working out their own situation and salvation that they need. That's the problem. Work on those things first, and then become a light to other brothers and sisters, and the Most High will start opening you up to more things. You stop being caught up, because you're not going to be escaping from those ways of the evil men. Wisdom of Solomon, Wisdom of Solomon 15, verse 9. Notwithstanding his care is, not that he shall have much labor, nor that his life is short, but striveth to excel goldsmiths and silversmiths, and endeavoreth to do like the workers in brass, and counteth it his glory to make counterfeit things. His heart is ashes, his hope is more vile than earth, and his life of less value than the clay. Forasmuch as he knew not his Maker, and him that inspired into him an active soul, and breathed in a living spirit. But they counted our life a pastime, and our time here a market for gain. For, say they, we must be getting every way, though it be by evil means. For this man that of earthly matter maketh brittle vessels and graven images, knoweth himself to offend above all others. And all the enemies of thy people that hold them in subjection are most foolish, and are more miserable than very babes. For they counted all the idols of the heathen to be gods, which neither have the use of eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. I read that because majority of this chapter's talking about idols. The idols of the nations, people look at physical things. But at the end of the day, the biggest idol that people come across is the man in the mirror. That's the biggest thing. So when you're looking at certain situations, you have to get out of your own way, because you first become your own idol. Once you start to leave and deviate from what the Most High is telling you, that's your issue. You first have to recognize that at the end of the day, stop trying to make yourself above God. Stop trying to act like there's more wisdom and everything else out there. Humble yourself down before you get caught up and swept away from the same things that everybody else is doing, and you catch yourself on the other side waiting for judgment. Don't do that. Humble yourself down. You are not a God, you are a creature. Find out what the Most High wants for you. Repent and stay locked in, because these things are getting worse and worse. You can tell we're at the end, folks. Take your time. Send up prayers always, and pray for the nation. All right. I pray that class worked, helped draw a correlation between the old and the new. That's the hope. Continue to send up prayers for one another. Lord's will, we'll be back at it maybe next week. All praises to the Most High. And like I said, Lord's will, a great upcoming Sabbath for brothers and sisters. Continue to send up prayers for each other. Stay locked in, because it's going to get worse. But all praises that I get to do this once again. Shalom, fellas. Shalom, sisters. Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath upcoming. Stay safe and stay prayed up, y'all. Shalom.